Across deserts, oceans, and forgotten valleys, humanity has left traces of ingenuity that defy comprehension. Towers of stone rise in silent cities, blades glint in hands long vanished, and devices track the heavens with gears no modern craftsman can replicate. Underground metropolises, massive monoliths, precise instruments, and pigments that endure centuries reveal methods, materials, and designs beyond modern understanding. Through the course of this exploration, you will uncover the terraces of Corral, the depths of Derinkuyu, the workshops of vanished metallurgists, and the celestial maps of civilizations long past, discovering how these societies engineered with precision and imagined technologies far ahead of their age. Each marvel holds secrets that still challenge science, inviting a quiet wonder at the brilliance of minds long vanished. Damascus steel, the blade that remembered the forge. In the centuries of crusades and caravans, stories spread of a metal that could cut through armor and silk alike. It came from the east, from a land of heat and smoke, where the forges burned with a fire unlike any other. Warriors and merchants carried tales of these blades back to Europe, where blacksmiths could only stare in disbelief at what their own hands could not replicate. The swords shimmered with an inner light, their rippled patterns flowing like water caught in motion. They were not just weapons. They were a form of memory cast into metal, the result of a process so advanced that modern metallurgists still struggle to understand how it was done. The secret of Damascus steel was born somewhere between legend and science, its exact origins blurred by centuries of trade and secrecy. The name itself came from the city of Damascus, though the steel was likely forged in India or Persia before reaching the workshops of Syria. The craftsmen who shaped it were not just blacksmiths, they were alchemists of the ancient world, manipulating fire, iron, and carbon to create something that bordered on the impossible. The resulting swords carried distinct bands and waves that looked almost alive. Beneath those patterns lay a structure that should not have existed in its time, an arrangement of carbon nanotubes and complex alloys that would not be seen again until the rise of modern nanotechnology. To make it, they began with Wootz steel, a high-carbon metal exported from India as early as the 3rd century BCE. Wootz itself was remarkable, produced in sealed clay crucibles where iron and charcoal were heated together until the two became inseparable. The process required delicate control of temperature, oxygen, and impurities. Any small deviation could ruin the entire batch. When cooled correctly, Wootz formed microscopic carbides within the metal, giving it both flexibility and incredible sharpness. When reforged and folded by Syrian or Persian smiths, these hidden structures became visible as the signature water-like patterns that would mesmerize generations. Modern scientists have studied surviving blades under microscopes powerful enough to see their internal world. What they found only deepened the mystery. Within the steel's grain are formations resembling carbon nanotubes and nanowires, structures that give the blade its resilience and edge retention. These microscopic features seem to have grown naturally during the forging process, as if the metal itself had been taught to organize at an atomic level. But despite years of study, no one has managed to recreate the precise sequence of steps that made this happen. When modern metallurgists try, their steel lacks the same internal order. Something, somewhere, is missing. Some suggest that the loss began not through secrecy, but through the disappearance of the materials themselves. The ore used to produce Wootz may have come from mines rich in trace elements, like vanadium, tungsten, and molybdenum, which altered the crystal structure of the metal in subtle but vital ways. When those mines were exhausted, the raw material changed, and with it, the ancient formula was broken. Others argue that the blacksmiths themselves carried knowledge that could never be written down, small instincts passed from master to apprentice. The rhythm of hammering, the colour of the flame, the exact moment when metal should meet air, such things could not survive the centuries once the forges went cold. By the 18th century, the art was gone. European scientists who had once marvelled at the blades tried to rediscover their method through chemistry and heat, but each experiment fell short. The blades that survived became relics of lost intelligence, reminders that technological mastery is not a straight line through history, but a fragile chain that can break without warning. Today, a handful of researchers continue to pursue the secret, using electron microscopes, alloy analysis, and computer models to uncover what ancient hands knew by sight and touch. Still, no replica has ever matched the true Damascus steel in both beauty and performance. When placed under light, an authentic blade seems to move, the pattern shifting like dark water over polished stone. It is a visual echo of the forces that shaped it: iron drawn to memory, fire trained to obey. Modern forges can reproduce the look, but not the living pattern that breathes within the metal. The difference lies somewhere invisible, hidden between molecules and tradition, in the space where human craft once touched atomic order without knowing its name. In the end, Damascus steel remains less a material than a question. It asks whether we truly advance when we forget how to listen to what the world once knew. Roman concrete, the stone that refuses to die. Among the broken walls of Rome, the air feels thick with centuries. Fragments of aqueducts and crumbling arches cast long shadows across the ground, their surfaces worn but never surrendered to ruin. Where other empires have vanished into dust, the Romans left behind a substance that endures. Columns stand, bridges hold, and harbours built before the birth of Christ still defy the waves. Time has gnawed at the edges, yet the core remains intact. Beneath each scar, the concrete still breathes. Centuries before modern chemistry, Roman builders learned to bind stone and ash into something nearly alive. Their cities were not assembled brick by brick, but poured into moulds, solidified from a mix that could last millennia. They called it opus caementicium, a blend of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater, fused into a single mass stronger than stone itself. It was the unseen skeleton of Rome's empire, a technology so advanced that its full secret slipped away when the empire fell. The Romans mixed their cities from dust and fire, turning raw earth into monuments that could outlast earthquakes and time. Their recipe relied on ingredients drawn from the land and sea: volcanic ash from Pozzuoli, lime from crushed limestone, and aggregate from local rock. When blended, these created a chemical reaction that set the structure from within, forming bonds that modern cement cannot reproduce. It was not a single invention, but a living tradition refined through generations of builders who learned to listen to the materials they used. The ingenuity embedded in those hands endures as a challenge to every modern engineer. They have recreated the mixture, tested its strength, and examined it beneath microscopes. Yet every effort yields something subtly different, weaker, less enduring. The ancient mixture did not merely harden, it evolved. Exposed to air, water, and time, Roman concrete seemed to heal. Cracks sealed themselves, as if the material contained a memory of its own form. What should have crumbled instead repaired itself, regaining strength over centuries. When fragments of Roman concrete are studied under magnification, they reveal a hidden world of crystals and minerals still in motion. Embedded within the ancient matrix are bright white particles of lime, once thought to be impurities, but now recognized as the key to the mystery. When water enters a crack, the lime dissolves, migrates, and crystallizes again, closing the wound. This reaction continues endlessly, a cycle of decay and renewal locked inside the stone. The builders who discovered it may not have known the chemistry, but they saw its results: walls that never gave way. The discovery was unsettling. For centuries, engineers believed progress was linear, that every old technique could be improved by contemporary science. Yet here was proof of something older and stronger. Modern concrete, perfected through precision and theory, lasts a few decades before it begins to decay. Roman concrete, rough and handmade, has endured earthquakes, floods, and centuries of neglect. The more scientists learned, the more the ancient mixture defied replication. Its strength was not static, it grew. The minerals within the matrix continued to react, forming new compounds long after the mortar had set. Microscopic bridges formed across gaps, reconnecting fractured pieces like the fibers of healing skin. It was as if the material refused to accept the finality of ruin. Each cycle of rain and sun made it stronger. Each century transformed it further, Time, instead of eroding it, became its collaborator. Yet, no formula we possess can truly mimic it. Laboratories have come close, mixing volcanic ash and lime, recreating the same visible texture. But something in the balance, perhaps the seawater, perhaps the heat of ancient kilns, perhaps the unmeasured rhythm of labor, cannot be recovered. Our concrete is designed to endure, theirs to adapt. What we pour dies with use. What they built continues to live. To walk among those ruins is to sense defiance in every stone. The walls whisper not of glory, but of permanence, of a civilization that understood the patience of matter itself. Their knowledge was not written in words, but in reaction and endurance, in the quiet intelligence of the earth transformed. The mystery lies not in how they built, but in what they understood about time, that strength does not come from resistance, but from the will to mend. Somewhere beneath the ruins, the stone is still healing. The Antikythera mechanism, the machine that understood the sky. Beneath the quiet waters off Antikythera, a group of sponge divers once descended into the dim blue haze of the Aegean and found themselves among the ruins of a ship long forgotten. Bronze statues, amphorae, and fragments of marble lay scattered across the seabed, veiled in centuries of silt. Among them was something no one paid much attention to: a corroded lump of bronze and wood, half swallowed by the sea. It would take decades before anyone realized that the most unassuming relic in that wreck was, in truth, one of the most advanced machines of the ancient world. 2,000 years earlier, that machine had been built by craftsmen whose understanding of the heavens bordered on the divine. It emerged from the height of Greek astronomy, when scholars studied the movements of stars to chart the passage of time and the will of the gods. The device they created was housed in a wooden case, small enough to rest in one's hands, yet filled with dozens of gears so precisely arranged that each movement mirrored the turning of celestial bodies. Through the shifting of metal wheels, they captured the rhythm of the sky itself. The device itself was small, but its ambition was vast. A series of interlocking gears translated motion into meaning: the orbit of the moon, the position of the sun, the timing of eclipses. Faint Greek inscriptions, etched along its dials, hinted at calculations far beyond simple stargazing. When turned by a hand crank, its faces aligned with constellations and cycles, predicting eclipses years in advance. Every rotation of the mechanism told the story of the cosmos, condensed into bronze. Its purpose seemed impossible to modern eyes. When scientists first examined its fragments in the early 20th century, they could scarcely believe that such complexity existed in the ancient world. Nothing like it was known to have survived from that era. Its precision rivaled that of 18th century clockwork, yet it was crafted nearly 2 millennia before the invention of the mechanical gear. The implications were staggering. Someone in a forgotten Greek workshop had built a computer, one capable of understanding the sky. As researchers reconstructed its gears, new revelations surfaced. Advanced imaging revealed at least 30 bronze cogs within its corroded shell, each cut to exact ratios that matched known celestial cycles. The mechanism's designer had accounted even for the moon's irregular orbit, a mathematical sophistication not recorded again until the Renaissance. Yet no records described its construction, and no other example of its kind was ever found. It stood alone, an orphan of genius, with no traceable ancestry. One by one, the discoveries deepened. The device could track lunar phases, predict solar eclipses, and even calculate the timing of the ancient Olympic Games. It might have once displayed the positions of planets, their movements synchronized by interlocking wheels. Every new analysis raised more questions. Who had built it? Was it the work of Archimedes, or an unknown master inspired by him? And how could such knowledge have appeared, flourished, and then vanished entirely from history? The mechanism spoke a language of precision that modern tools can barely imitate. Engineers have tried to recreate it using ancient methods: bronze filings, hand tools, no magnification yet. Each attempt reveals how far modern understanding still falls short. The teeth of its gears must have been cut with impossible accuracy, their ratios exact to fractions of a degree. Such craftsmanship suggests not only scientific brilliance, but a profound intuition, as though its maker possessed both mathematical vision and artistic grace in perfect balance. No other artifact of its age could compare. It stands alone in the historical record, with no precursors and no successors for more than 1,000 years. Its very existence suggests that ancient technology may have reached a level of sophistication history failed to preserve. Whether it was used for navigation, teaching, or ritual, no one knows. It remains an enigma, a solitary echo of a forgotten lineage of invention that has long since turned to dust. To hold even a fragment of it is to confront the silence of centuries, a reminder that knowledge can be lost as easily as it is gained. Beneath the corrosion and decay, its gears still speak in the language of stars, whispering of a civilization that once turned metal into memory. It may not have merely measured time, it may have remembered it, the Great Pyramid, the architecture that defied time. At the edge of Giza's horizon, where dawn first touches stone, a perfect geometry rises from the desert. The air trembles in the heat as light crawls along its limestone face, illuminating a shape so precise that it has outlasted empires and languages alike. For more than 40 centuries, the Great Pyramid of Khufu has stood in silence, not as a ruin, but as something complete, as if time itself agreed to leave it untouched. No other monument in human history has so successfully resisted decay or so quietly challenged explanation. More than 4 millennia ago, it was built in an age when copper tools struck stone and the desert was crowded with workers who labored beneath the sunday. The Egyptians called it Akhet Khufu, the horizon of Khufu, a gateway between earth and eternity. Archaeologists estimate that more than 2 million limestone blocks were cut, shaped, and set in place, each one fitting with uncanny precision, their seams thinner than a single coin. No mortar was used, yet the joints have survived thousands of years of heat, wind, and sand without surrendering their grip. Each limestone block carried a fragment of design, placed according to a plan so complex that even the smallest deviation would have destroyed its symmetry. Every course rose toward the summit at a deliberate angle, a slope that mirrored the sacred geometry found in Egyptian cosmology. The alignment of the 4 sides points almost perfectly to true north, a feat requiring astronomical calculation so accurate that even with today's instruments, reproducing it is difficult. The builders did not merely raise a monument, they engineered a statement of mathematical perfection. The weight of the stones defies reason. Some blocks in the lower courses weigh more than 70 tons, quarried miles away, and somehow transported across the Nile. No ancient text describes how this was done. Theories range from sledges drawn over wet sand to wooden rollers, and ramps that spiraled around the pyramid's body, but none explain how such precision was achieved on such a massive scale. Even the tools found at Giza, simple copper chisels and hammers, seem inadequate for carving the granite chambers within. Architects of the modern age still measure its perfection. The ratio of the pyramid's height to its base approximates pi, and the structure's proportions encode the relationship between Earth's radius and circumference with startling accuracy. These mathematical coincidences have inspired generations of theorists who argue that its design reflects a level of scientific understanding far beyond what is credited to the 4th dynasty. Some propose that the pyramid was a map of the cosmos, its form a mirror of celestial order written in stone. Attempts to replicate its construction reveal the limits of modern engineering when confined to ancient means. Experiments with small-scale models collapse under their own weight. Contemporary replicas cannot reproduce the same level of alignment using the tools available in 2500 BCE. Even when cranes and machinery are introduced, the logistics of handling millions of stones with such exactitude remain staggering. The builders of Giza worked without steel, wheels, or pulleys, yet their monument endures when our cities crumble in centuries. Some see more than architecture in its form. Its dimensions align with solstices, and the shafts of its inner chambers point toward Orion and Sirius, stars that held sacred meaning in Egyptian belief. To them, the pyramid was not just a tomb, but a bridge, a path by which the soul of the pharaoh could ascend to the heavens. The monument's precision may have served both science and spirit, uniting the physical and divine in a single structure that embodied the Egyptians' quest for immortality. Even time has bent before it. Earthquakes have shaken the desert, empires have fallen, and the faces of its smaller companions have crumbled, yet Khufu's pyramid remains stripped of its smooth casing stones, but otherwise whole. The desert wind that scours its flanks seems powerless against it, as though the structure draws strength from the very sands that surround it. Its shadow stretches across the plateau like a sundial marking eternity itself. To stand within its shadow is to feel the illusion of permanence, to hear silence heavy with memory. It is said that every block holds the echo of hands long turned to dust, a chorus of laborers, mathematicians, and priests who built something they might never fully comprehend. The Great Pyramid does not merely endure, it waits, as though guarding a secret that no one alive remembers how to ask. Perhaps it was never meant to be built by hands alone. Greek fire, the weapon that burned the sea. In the chaos of battle, the sea itself caught fire, and sailors watched as the horizon turned to a wall of living flame. Flames leapt from decks and crept across the waves, wrapping ropes and oars in heat that would not be put out by water. Smoke rose in black plumes, and men who thought themselves safe in their ships found themselves trapped in a new kind of sea. Chroniclers wrote of terror with the bluntness of survivors, as if no vocabulary could fully hold the sight of water burning. Centuries ago, in the heart of the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople learned to use that terror as a shield. The city, hemmed by rivals on every side, entrusted its defense to a secret no soldier could keep. The weapon's invention has been attributed to refugees and engineers, to chance and to calculation. It became a state secret, administered by an elite corps that tended the flame like priests. For Byzantium, Greek fire was not merely a tool of war, but a part of its survival instinct. Witnesses spoke of a weapon unlike any other, a stream of flame hurled from bronze nozzles, a torrent that clung to wood and refused to be quenched. They described the sight in terms that mixed awe with superstition, as though the fire had a will. Some accounts claimed it hissed when it struck the sea, others that it moved as if it tasted the air. These descriptions vary in detail, but converge on one point. The effect exceeded any known combustible behavior. It suggested a chemistry guided by purpose rather than accident. Its ingredients were a state secret, locked behind palace doors and guarded from even the most trusted captains. The Byzantines compartmentalized knowledge so that no single artisan could recreate the whole. Men swore oaths and were sometimes blinded or killed rather than allowed to divulge a formulation. Whatever mixture produced the flame, the method of its deployment was as important as the recipe itself. The weapon combined material, mechanism, and ritual into a single, brutal discipline. Using the instruments of laboratories rather than the implements of war, modern chemists have sought its formula. They have tested naphtha, resin, sulfur, pitch, quicklime, and various catalysts in combinations imagined from texts and fragments. Some reconstructions produce streams of burning liquid, but not the stubborn, sea-clinging fire described by medieval witnesses. Others required pressures and ignitions that seem unlikely for the ships and siphons recorded by chroniclers. The experiments illuminate possibilities while underscoring absence. A crucial element remains unaccounted for. No records describe how it was made in full. Byzantine secrecy, the loss of workshops, the burning of libraries, and the passage of time conspired to erase the practical knowledge. Surviving manuscripts speak only in hints and euphemisms. Treated as state property, the technique left no recipe for posterity. When the empire contracted and its guardians were scattered, the chain of transmission broke. The flame that had been carefully tended inside the city became a story told by others, a technique whose living practice died with its keepers. For the Byzantines, Greek fire was more than a weapon. It was a symbol of imperial ingenuity and an instrument of psychological warfare that reshaped naval tactics across the Mediterranean. Enemy fleets learned to fear coastline approaches, and commanders planned their campaigns around the possibility of encountering that terrible light. The flame became legend within a generation, a deterrent as potent as a stone wall. Its power lay as much in myth as in chemistry. Its legend spread beyond the empire, carried by merchants, prisoners, and chroniclers into far corners of Europe and the Islamic world. Each retelling added layers, flames that burned without fuel, elixirs that came from the earth's belly, fires sent by divine favor. Later, inventors tried to mimic its effect, and alchemists recorded mixtures that echoed Byzantine hints. None faithfully reproduced the original. What spread most widely, however, was the fear it inspired and the idea that a civilization had once held such a frightening secret. To imagine it now is to imagine a knowledge that combined craft, secrecy, and survival into a single lethal art. It asks difficult questions about the relationship between technology and custody, about what is lost when a method is treated as power rather than shared wisdom. Modern reconstructions teach us much, but they also remind us how fragile practical knowledge can be when it is hoarded rather than taught. The sea still holds the wrecks of those nights, but it keeps its truest secret well below the waves. Some fires were never meant to die, only to wait, hidden in the depths. For the moment, they are seen again. The Lycurgus cup, the glass that knew the light. In the dim stillness of the British Museum, the Lycurgus cup rests behind its glass enclosure, faintly alive in the controlled light. At first, it seems modest, a Roman relic, its form familiar to anyone who has studied the art of late antiquity. Yet when the light shifts, so too does the cup itself. What was once a deep, mossy green becomes a vivid red, the transformation occurring so suddenly that it seems less like reflection than reaction. The object does not merely catch light, it answers it. Working in the subdued heat of their furnaces, glassmakers in imperial Rome toiled 17 centuries ago. They melted sand and minerals in crucibles of clay, adding metals for color, refining by sight and intuition rather than measurement. These artisans were not scholars, yet their hands mastered the chemistry of beauty. The Lycurgus cup was born in this world, a vessel crafted for the elite, bearing myth upon its surface and a secret within its glass that no one has since repeated. At first glance, the cup appears no different from other Roman treasures. It is delicate, yet durable, its surface carved in relief, showing a scene that spirals around the vessel. Figures twist and strain against vines, their expressions frozen mid-motion. The craftsmanship alone is enough to merit attention, but something in the way it absorbs the surrounding light suggests another layer, one that refuses to stay still. The longer one looks, the less the eye trusts what it sees. Only when light passes through it does the illusion break. The shift from green to red is not an illusion of angle or distance, it is a transformation bound to the light itself. When illuminated from the front, it glows with a greenish hue. When light passes from behind, it deepens into the color of blood. To ancient eyes, it might have seemed a kind of divine enchantment. To modern ones, it is a question that science has not entirely answered. Scientists who examined its surface under microscopes sought to understand why such an effect could exist in glass made nearly 2,000 years ago. They found that ordinary pigments could not explain the change. Even corrosion, once considered a factor, proved irrelevant. Instead, the answer lay within the glass itself, within particles invisible to the eye, but essential to the cup's strange ability to know light. What they discovered, embedded within the glass, were nanoparticles, minute traces of gold and silver, dispersed throughout the material in exacting proportions. These particles, no larger than a virus, scatter light in different ways, depending on their direction and intensity. When front-lit, they reflect green. When backlit, they transmit red. The Romans had, somehow, achieved a level of control over material at a microscopic scale that modern scientists did not even theorize until the late 20th century. Whether by intention or accident, their glassmakers had worked at the frontier of what is now called nanotechnology. The myth carved upon its surface tells of King Lycurgus, the Thracian ruler who defied the god Dionysus and was ensnared by vines for his arrogance. The story is one of punishment and metamorphosis of man becoming part of the very world he tried to resist. It is a fitting choice for a vessel that changes before the eyes, one that turns light into movement, shadow into revelation. The myth and the material share a single theme: transformation as both beauty and curse. No glassmaker has since replicated its secret. Experiments using gold dust and metallic oxides have produced similar effects, but never with the same purity or precision. The composition of the Lycurgus cup remains unbalanced by any modern formula, as though its creation depended on conditions impossible to repeat. It stands not just as a marvel of skill, but as a reminder that knowledge can vanish as easily as it appears swallowed by time, lost in the silence that lingers across generations. Before it, the boundaries between art and science begin to blur. The cup represents a moment when the two were not divided, when observation and imagination shared the same space. It forces modern viewers to confront a truth often overlooked, that ancient artisans, guided only by sight and intuition, achieved results our instruments still struggle to explain. In its shifting light lies the echo of a forgotten intelligence, one that saw beauty and discovery as the same pursuit. It may be that the Lycurgus cup was never meant to serve men at all, but to let the light remember them. The Baghdad battery, the power that shouldn't exist, unearthed amid the ochre dust of Kujut Rabu, just outside Baghdad in 1936, the small clay jar seemed no more than a relic of daily life, one vessel among countless fragments of an ancient world. Its surface was coarse, its colour muted by centuries of silence. Yet something about its interior drew the attention of archaeologists who had learned to sense the quiet strangeness hidden within the ordinary. When the contents were cleaned and catalogued, the jar revealed a copper cylinder sealed with bitumen and pierced by an iron rod, an arrangement that, on closer inspection, appeared less like a container and more like a design. Inside its coarse clay shell, the pieces fit together with unnerving precision. The copper tube was snugly rolled, the iron rod deliberately placed, and the sealing compound applied as if to prevent contact with air or moisture. Each element, simple in isolation, formed an assembly that bore an uncanny resemblance to a modern galvanic cell. To those accustomed to pottery and pigments, it was a puzzle that spoke a language of metal and current, a vocabulary that should not have existed 2,000 years ago. The discovery stirred unease rather than excitement, as if the past had revealed a mechanism it was not expected to know. Researchers who later examined the fragments found the combination too deliberate to dismiss as a coincidence. Wilhelm Koenig, a German archaeologist working at the Iraq Museum, proposed the unthinkable, that the jar might have served as an ancient battery. When filled with an acidic liquid vinegar, lemon juice, or grape juice, the reconstructed device produced a faint electrical charge. The voltage was meagre, yet the implication was immense. Koenig's hypothesis ignited decades of debate, leading scientists and historians alike to recreate the device in laboratories across the world. Each experiment confirmed the same small spark, an invisible pulse that bridged the gap between craft and science, suggesting that the ancients may have touched a realm of knowledge thought to belong only to the modern age. If this humble vessel truly held power, the question became, power for what? Some suggested electroplating, the ancient gilding of metals with precision that would have been nearly impossible otherwise. Others speculated about its use in medical rituals, or as a tool of sacred display, an object that might have inspired awe through unseen forces. But with every theory came another absence. No ancient texts mentioned electricity, no workshops bore signs of such experimentation, and no similar devices had ever been found in situ. It was as if the Baghdad battery existed in isolation, an anachronism without a lineage, suspended between understanding and myth. Across the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, artifacts whisper of civilizations that mastered astronomy, mathematics, and architecture with astonishing accuracy. Yet none speak of electricity. The Parthian Empire, to which the battery is often attributed, left behind detailed records of governance and trade, but none hinting at such devices. Even later dynasties, inheriting the same soil and stone, seemed unaware of any legacy of electrical craft. The silence of history is sometimes more telling than its words. It suggests either a lost art, so rare it left no trace, or a misinterpretation born from coincidence. Between these two possibilities, the truth remains hidden, flickering somewhere amid invention and imagination. In recent decades, technology has turned its gaze upon the jar once more, revealing details invisible to the naked eye. Microscopic analysis of residue within its walls uncovered traces of acidic compounds, though their origin remains disputed, some natural, others possibly deliberate. X-ray imaging exposed irregular tool marks along the copper and iron surfaces, suggesting they were fitted together by human intent rather than happenstance. Yet even with these advances, certainty remains elusive. Each new scan yields another fragment of possibility, and the battery's purpose drifts further into ambiguity, as if modern science itself were being kept just beyond the light of understanding. Even now, beneath layers of glass and guarded light in the Iraq Museum, the Baghdad battery rests as it has for decades, still, silent, and unresolved. Its replicas continue to hum faintly in laboratories, their weak currents a quiet echo of something ancient and almost impossible. The artifact defies classification, straddling the boundary between science and mystery, fact and interpretation. It waits in its display case not as a triumph of discovery, but as a question preserved in clay, whispering of knowledge misplaced or perhaps never meant to endure. Some technologies vanish from history not because they failed, but because the world was never meant to understand them. The Ulfbert sword, the Viking steel beyond its age. The sound of steel meeting bone was once its only testimony. In the chaos of battle, its edge cut through chain and flesh alike, moving with the precision of a weapon forged by hands that seemed to understand more than the age allowed. When the fighting ended, the sword would rest in silence, its blade still unblemished, gleaming faintly in the cold northern light. Centuries later, when these relics were pulled from riverbeds and burial mounds, their sharpness and strength defied both time and belief. Carved into the metal is a name that refuses to fade. Inlaid with silver and spelled out in Latin letters, the word Ulfbert runs along the blade's fuller like a quiet declaration. Some believe Ulfbert was a blacksmith of near-mythical skill. Others think it was a mark of lineage or workshop. Yet beneath every variation of the inscription, there lies the same mystery. How these blades were made when the technology to do so should not have existed. During the height of the Viking Age, no forge should have birthed such perfection. The early medieval world lacked the means to heat metal to the temperatures required for the kind of purity the Ulfbert possessed. Ordinary swords from the same period are riddled with impurities, slag and carbon flaws that make them brittle. But the Ulfbert blades are different. Their steel is nearly flawless, uniform and balanced. To achieve such consistency, the smith would have needed to reach temperatures only possible in furnaces developed centuries later. Under the scrutiny of modern science, its nature becomes stranger still. Metallurgists examining samples from authentic Ulfbert swords found evidence of what's called crucible steel, a form so pure that its carbon distribution rivals that of modern industrial alloys. This kind of steel was not supposed to exist in Northern Europe until at least 800 years after the Viking Age. It was as though a fragment of the future had been buried in the 9th century. The alloy within it is purer than any other weapon of its time. Where lesser swords fractured under pressure, the Ulfbert absorbed and redirected the force of each strike. Its blade was light, yet unyielding, allowing its wielder to cut with both precision and ferocity. To the warriors who carried it, this was more than a tool. It was a symbol of divine craftsmanship, of strength granted by something beyond human reach. For those who faced it, it was a weapon that seemed impossible to destroy. Whispers of lost knowledge echo through every fragment. No written record survives to explain its forging, and the craftsman who once shaped such steel vanished without leaving a trace of instruction. Archaeologists have uncovered forges and molds, but none capable of producing the consistent heat necessary for this kind of work. It's as if the technology appeared briefly, burned brightly, and then disappeared, taking its method with it into silence. Some suspect the secret travelled with traders from distant empires. Some point toward the east to Persia and India, where crucible steel known as woots was once produced. Others suggest that fragments of knowledge moved along ancient trade routes, reaching the northern smiths through chance encounters and guarded exchanges. But the connections remain speculative, and the gap between theory and evidence remains wide. No known artifact or document bridges the distance between the furnaces of the East and the icy forges of Scandinavia. Replicas forged today crumble before reaching their strength. Modern blacksmiths, armed with precision tools and controlled heat, have tried to reproduce the Ulfbert's quality. Though they can imitate its form, they cannot perfectly match its internal structure, the delicate balance of carbon and iron that gives it both flexibility and resilience. Even with the data laid bare by analysis, something within the process refuses to reveal itself. The sword, it seems, was made not only of materials, but of understanding something its creators possessed that time erased. Behind glass, its surface gleams with quiet defiance. Centuries have passed since it last drew blood, yet its presence carries the weight of mastery that no modern equivalent has surpassed. It is at once a relic of war and a monument to knowledge, proof that somewhere in the depths of the past, someone reached beyond what should have been possible. It is said that the Ulfbert still holds the memory of a flame the world forgot how to make. The stone spheres of Costa Rica, the geometry without tools. Hidden within the rain-soaked jungles of Costa Rica lies an enigma older than the nation itself. Hundreds of stone spheres scattered across the Dickies Delta, as though left behind by a vanished order. Their surfaces are smooth, their curvature nearly perfect, and their origins uncertain. Discovered in the 1,930 seconds during banana plantation work, the stones emerged not from myth, but from the soil itself, revealing a precision that challenged everything known about pre-Columbian craftsmanship. Beneath the dense canopy, the first explorers found them half-buried and silent, as if arranged with intent long forgotten. Some rested in deliberate clusters, others aligned in straight rows that hinted at lost patterns or astronomical alignments. The largest reached over 2 meters in diameter and weighed close to 16 tons, yet none bore markings of how they were carved or moved. To those who unearthed them, the stones appeared untouched by the centuries, impossibly round, impossibly deliberate. Further examination revealed something even stranger. The stones were carved from granodiorite, a material found miles away in the Talamanca Mountains, suggesting that whoever made them transported the raw blocks across the river and forest before shaping them with tools that left no trace. Archaeologists proposed theories chipping with smaller stones, heating and cooling methods, sand abrasion, but none fully explained the flawless symmetry. Even under modern measurement, their roundness rivals that of machine-made spheres. Archaeological reports from the mid-20th century attempted to place the spheres within the context of the Dickies culture, which flourished between 700 and 1530 CE. Pottery shards and nearby settlements hinted at social organization, trade, and agriculture, but nothing that justified the creation of such mathematically precise monuments. They seemed to belong to a civilization that understood geometry far beyond what was recorded, or at least beyond what survived. Later studies found the spheres arranged not at random, but possibly as a system of markers. Some sites displayed triangular or linear formations, pointing toward the rising sun at specific times of year. Others aligned with ancient rivers or highland peaks, leading some to wonder whether they formed a kind of terrestrial map, a silent architecture of power and order. Yet, without inscriptions or tools, interpretation remained guesswork, and the people who could explain their purpose were long gone. During the mid-1900s, as plantations expanded, many of the spheres were rolled away, dynamited, or stolen. Treasure hunters believed they contained gold or relics of lost empires, splitting them open only to find solid stone. Today, some stand in museums, others lie in gardens or parks, displaced from the landscapes that once gave them meaning. Satellite imagery later revealed traces of ancient settlements beneath layers of vegetation, their outlines faint but undeniable. Some of the remaining spheres seem placed at the edges of these forgotten towns, as though marking boundaries or sacred zones. The Dickies people may have used them as symbols of authority, each polished surface reflecting the control of a people who could shape the unshapable. Yet no record survives of how such mastery was achieved, nor why the practice ceased so abruptly. Among the surviving legends, locals speak of guardians who who watched over the land before the coming of the Spaniards, protectors who shaped the earth itself to keep their knowledge hidden. In some oral traditions, the spheres were said to contain spirits or stars that had fallen from the sky. With the precision of 3D technology and chemical scrutiny, modern scholars traced the methods of the ancient craftsmen. Microscopic abrasions suggest controlled hammering with harder stones and polishing with sand and water, but even these findings do not explain the uniform perfection achieved without measurement instruments. To this day, no workshop, no quarry site, and no transitional stages between rough and finished forms have been found. It is as if the spheres simply appeared, complete and exact, already in their final form. UNESCO now protects the remaining collections, recognizing them as symbols of human creativity and mystery. Yet beneath the official recognition lies unease, a quiet admission that some achievements of the past defy replication, even with modern means. The stones remain mute, impervious to centuries of rain and study, their purpose still just beyond comprehension. Some creations seem less like relics of the past than messages meant for a future still trying to understand. The Baalbek megaliths, the stones too heavy to move. They lie where no logic can reach, vast blocks of limestone resting in impossible harmony, their edges aligned with the calm of eternity. To stand before them is to confront the boundaries of human engineering, a weight so staggering that even the most advanced cranes of the modern age would strain to shift a single stone. These are not monuments in the ordinary sense. They are contradictions, carved with purpose but defying explanation, immovable reminders of a technology that should not have existed. What now stands in Baalbek, within Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, carries the weight of many civilizations layered upon one another. Beneath the grand Roman columns lies a far older foundation, an immense stone platform whose origin remains uncertain. The stones beneath the temple terrace were not set by the Romans, yet they built upon them, perhaps out of reverence, perhaps out of necessity. Each surface bears a precision that contradicts the crude tools history attributes to their builders. The largest blocks, known as the trilithon, weigh over 800 tons each and sit aligned so tightly that even a blade cannot slide between them. No mortar, no binding material holds them, only gravity, geometry, and a mastery of stone that has outlasted its teachers. To move such a mass would challenge even modern machinery. Estimates suggest that each block would require multiple heavy-lift cranes and perfectly leveled terrain to reposition safely. Yet these stones were quarried, transported, and elevated into their resting place thousands of years ago, when no such technology existed. The problem is not only their size, but their placement, set precisely at height, forming a base that bears the weight of an empire and the silence of forgotten labor. Some proposed the simplest answers, that ramps of earth and sand might have been built, that logs or sledges might have carried the load inch by inch. But these explanations crumble under scrutiny. No evidence of ramps or rollers remains, and the geography of Baalbek, with its slopes and rock outcroppings, defies such methods. The stones stand as if mocking the logic meant to contain them. But no written plan has ever surfaced. No inscription describes the method. No tablet records the order of their placement. The architects, if they were architects at all, left no trace of how their monument rose from the earth. Archaeologists search for chisels, scaffolds, or tracks, but the stones remain mute. They are as anonymous as they are immense, shaped with purpose, but stripped of authorship. South of the ruins lies the quarry scar in the earth, where one of the largest cut stones in human history still rests. Known as the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, it weighs an estimated 1,000 tons, abandoned before transport could begin. Nearby lies another, even larger block, uncovered only recently and estimated at over 1,200 tons. Together, they tell a story of ambition halted mid-motion, as though the hands that could move mountains had suddenly vanished. Engineers who visit the site today test the limits of their own imagination. They measure the stone's density, model friction and incline, and simulate traction and force. Each calculation ends the same way in speculation. Some admit that even with modern cranes, such transport would verge on impossible. Others suggest lost methods of counterweight and resonance, though these ideas remain unproven. The more science approaches the problem, the more it recedes into myth. Imagine the laborers who once stood here, gazing up at a wall that touched the edge of the sky. They might have worked, not for power, but for permanence, a gesture of endurance, written in stone. For them, perhaps, the act of moving the immovable was a kind of devotion, an attempt to align Earth with something greater than its own weight. Whatever their intent, they left behind proof of mastery and silence in equal measure. When dusk falls across Baalbek, the shadows lengthen along the terrace, and the air grows colder. The stones seem to absorb time itself, indifferent to the centuries that have passed over them. They remain as they were, unmoved, unbroken, and unyielding witnesses to a moment in history that human memory has failed to preserve. Even now, the stones seem to wait for a strength the world has long forgotten how to summon. The shroud of Turin, the image without a hand. Light fell across the folded linen, and the figure appeared. Observers gasped, startled by the clarity of its features, the faint shadows along the nose and eyes, the subtle impressions of hands crossed over a chest. The cloth seemed ordinary at first, coarse and aged, yet the image it carried was anything but. It was a presence that could not be explained, a human form etched with a precision that confounded understanding, as though the linen itself had absorbed the shape of something unseen. The earliest record of the cloth places it in Liry, France, in the mid-14th century, though whispers of its existence reach further back into obscure medieval inventories and guarded ecclesiastical accounts. From city to city, from cathedral to chapel, the shroud moved under the careful watch of those who revered it, its passage punctuated by fire, theft, and debate. Each generation that encountered it left fragments of testimony, the folds of memory, almost as tangible as the linen itself. The features are unnervingly exact, a face, pale and solemn, marked with what might be wounds, framed by hair, with eyes closed in repose, and hands folded as if in silent appeal. The contours respond to light in a three-dimensional manner, revealing depth that could not be explained by simple painting or dye. The body suggested motion arrested in time, yet without brushstroke or pigment to guide it, leaving only a quiet impossibility imprinted on fibre. When scientists examined the fibres, they found traces of blood, serum, and microscopic particulates, chemical whispers that hinted at life, at trauma, at human presence. Radiocarbon tests suggested a medieval origin, yet inconsistencies in sampling and trace elements led others to question the result. Spectroscopy, ultraviolet imaging, and microanalysis revealed no pigments or binders consistent with conventional art, leaving the image both tangible and unreachable, known yet unknowable. Some concluded it must be a medieval creation, a cunning forgery devised to inspire devotion. Others proposed hypotheses that ranged from alchemical accidents to obscure natural processes. Yet none could convincingly replicate the effect. A full-length human form, detailed and subtly three-dimensional, imprinted without a visible agent, untouched by hand, and surviving centuries of handling, fire, and exposure. The weave itself tells a story. Linen spun with irregular threads, patterned in a herringbone twill, yet capable of preserving the faintest impressions. Microscopic analysis revealed fibrils that had been subtly scorched or oxidized in ways not fully understood. No painting or rubbing, no staining or chemical bath of known antiquity could achieve the subtle gradations observed across the chest, face, and limbs. The fabric itself becomes a witness, holding memory where none should exist. Yet the image defies conventional understanding. Light and shadow, relief and recession, appear in a manner that responds to perception, almost as if the cloth encodes not merely shape, but presence. Attempts to reproduce it have failed, whether by medieval artisan or modern scientist. Even with lasers and microscopes, the shroud preserves its secret, challenging the boundary between material and phenomenon. Across centuries, the cloth inspired awe. Pilgrims, kings, and scholars have all approached it with reverence or skepticism, yet none could ignore its power. It has shaped devotion, inspired inquiry, and haunted imaginations. Its significance transcends technique, residing instead in the intersection of mystery and human experience, in the space between what is seen and what is understood. Technology of the present seeks to unravel the mystery, to pierce the hidden secret. Three-dimensional mapping, ultraviolet fluorescence, and digital reconstruction seek to unravel the methods behind its creation. Yet with each revelation, new questions arise: the clarity of the wounds, the proportion of the body, the depth suggested without touch. Even today, science only deepens the enigma, providing measurement but no explanation, evidence but no certainty. To gaze upon the shroud is to confront absence. There is no signature, no artist, no trace of intent beyond the impression itself. It speaks without voice, records without pen, and endures without hand. Time has treated it gently and cruelly in equal measure, yet the image persists, unbroken, unaltered, defiant of origin, resistant to comprehension, and undeniably present. The image remains, unmade by hand yet indelibly inscribed, as if time itself had pressed its memory into the linen, leaving a trace no human hand could follow or fully comprehend. The Pyramids of Caral, the engineers before history began. The Pyramids of Caral rise in silence, their terraces etched into the arid Supe Valley, enduring monuments of a civilization whose memory predates writing itself. The structures are massive yet elegant, stepped and angled with a precision that seems impossible for a culture without metal tools or wheels. Shadows stretch across the plazas and stairways, revealing the careful alignment of each platform, as if the architects measured not only space, but time itself. The stones absorb the sunlight, warming slowly under the desert sky, and the quiet suggests a knowledge that has survived millennia without a single word to explain it. Their terraces and plazas hint at a purpose beyond mere shelter or fortification. Circular plazas, sunken courts, and ceremonial spaces suggest communal planning and ritual, a city designed with intention rather than accident. Streets and pathways connect pyramids to residential zones, forming a pattern that conveys both utility and symbolic meaning. Every line and angle seems deliberate, reflecting a culture capable of complex spatial reasoning, yet built at a time when most of the world still knew only scattered villages. Each stone is laid with care, the masonry uniform though lacking mortar, the platforms constructed to bear both weight and centuries of erosion. Foundations are compacted and leveled with methods now lost, the terraces resisting landslides and earthquakes alike. Some blocks weigh several tons, yet their placement is precise, producing a harmony that modern engineers still admire. The ingenuity lies not only in the materials, but in the understanding of balance, gravity, and geometry knowledge, preserved in stone, awaiting interpretation. Organizing labor on such a scale required foresight and coordination that suggests social sophistication. Scholars believe teams were specialized, moving stones, compacting earth, and shaping terraces in concert. The workforces must have shared techniques and schedules, overseen by planners who understood both engineering and human behavior. The scale of effort challenges assumptions about prehistory, indicating a community capable of mobilizing knowledge, labor, and resources with purpose and efficiency. Traces of irrigation channels and crafted textiles reveal technological sophistication extending beyond construction. Canals and reservoirs channeled water to plazas and fields, demonstrating mastery of hydraulics in a desert environment. Threads, preserved in ceremonial contexts, show advanced weaving techniques, while evidence of quipu-like devices suggests record-keeping and communication. These discoveries reveal a civilization whose ingenuity encompassed agriculture, urbanism, and symbolic culture, all predating civilizations long celebrated in textbooks. The geometry of the city astounds in its precision. Angles, alignments, and proportions resonate across terraces, hinting at calculations that guided construction without written numerals or instruments known to later civilizations. Sunlight falls across stepped pyramids, illuminating alignments that may mark solstices or equinoxes. Carroll's planners seem to have encoded understanding of both the heavens and the earth, into the very layout of their city, an achievement remarkable for its era and context. Long before the Nile or Tigris valleys flourished, Cairo existed as a hub of engineering and culture. Its pyramids predate the Egyptian monuments by nearly a millennium, raising questions about the independent emergence of complex societies. This chronology challenges conventional narratives of human development, suggesting that advanced urban planning and monumental architecture arose in multiple places, independently and earlier than previously imagined. Revealing layers of habitation, ceremonial deposits, and urban development, modern analysis brings the past into focus. Carbon dating places the site around 2600 BCE, but subtle features suggest even earlier occupation. Excavations uncovered domestic spaces, ceremonial artifacts, and infrastructure that together testify to long-term planning, continuity, and adaptation. Despite these insights, each finding deepens the mystery: how a civilization with no written records achieved such engineering and social coordination remains unanswered. Standing in the plazas, one senses coordination and vision beyond the individual. The terraces whisper of laborers whose hands shaped the earth according to plans invisible to us now. The city embodies intention, a tangible manifestation of minds capable of measuring, calculating, and imagining systems that harmonize daily life, ritual, and celestial observation. Here, stone and soil speak in a language lost to time, yet still legible to those who pause and observe. As the sun dips behind the Supe Valley, shadows stretch across the pyramids and plazas, and the silence deepens. Time seems suspended, held by terraces and foundations that have survived millennia. Cairo remains a city without a voice, yet with stories embedded in every stone, every angle, every worn pathway, hinting at intellect and vision that surpasses our understanding. The stones and terraces whisper of minds that measured the world before history ever began. The Olmec heads, the sculptors without metal. In the dense lowlands of Veracruz and Tabasco, massive stone faces emerge from the tropical soil, their expressions frozen in silent authority. These colossal sculptures, some towering over 3 meters, were carved from basalt boulders, transported from distant quarries, often dozens of kilometers away. The sheer size of the stones and the distance they traveled present a puzzle that continues to challenge modern engineering. Archaeologists have identified quarries, but the methods by which the Olmec moved these enormous rocks through rivers, forests, and uneven terrain remain speculative. No metal tools, pulleys, or wheeled vehicles have been found to account for their transportation or manipulation, leaving a gap between observable fact and theoretical possibility. Each head is distinct, displaying facial features that suggest individualized portraiture. The detail is remarkable: wide noses, full lips, and deep-set eyes rendered with careful symmetry. Carving such features into basalt, a volcanic rock that resists abrasion, would have required tools capable of precise cutting, abrasion, and polishing. Experiments with stone and wooden implements show that reproducing the depth and smoothness of these forms is possible in theory, but would take years, if not decades, for a single head. The precision suggests techniques lost to history, a combination of knowledge in leverage, abrasion, and design that allowed the Olmec to sculpt these figures at scale with efficiency and control. The positioning of the heads adds another layer of complexity. They are not scattered randomly. Many appear aligned along riverbanks or ceremonial centers, suggesting deliberate placement with spatial awareness. Some heads were likely transported on rafts, but the exact mechanics of balancing multi-ton stones on watercraft, maneuvering them along unpredictable river currents, and unloading them without damage remain beyond the proven capabilities of even modern engineering. The logistics alone imply planning, coordination, and a working understanding of weight distribution that is astonishing given the lack of written records or surviving construction tools. Scientific study has revealed clues about the techniques employed. Surface striations indicate the use of pounding stones or abrasion methods, yet the uniformity of the finishing work contradicts the irregularity expected from purely manual carving. The Olmec may have developed compound techniques, combining pounding, grinding, and polishing in ways that leave no evidence today. Furthermore, traces of wear patterns on quarries suggest methodical extraction, indicating not only force, but also control over fracture lines in basalt. These methods are subtle, efficient, and exact, hinting at an empirical understanding of materials science thousands of years before formalized studies existed. The scale and precision of the heads also raise questions about the organization of labor. Moving and carving multiple colossal boulders would require coordinated teams, timing, and possibly temporary infrastructure such as ramps, sledges, or scaffolds. The physical requirements are immense, yet the Olmec achieved it without the benefit of metal tools or mechanical advantage as understood today. Modern engineers attempting similar feats rely on cranes, steel cables, and computer modeling to ensure stability. The Olmec accomplished this with ingenuity, observation, and techniques now lost to history. The Olmec heads are more than monumental statues. They are technical achievements that speak of a society with an advanced understanding of geometry, material properties, and logistical planning. Each head demonstrates a mastery of stonework that challenges assumptions about the technological limitations of the era. The sheer volume of labor, precision, and coordination required implies knowledge transmitted across generations, preserved in practice rather than writing. It also raises questions about other lost engineering methods that may have been used in ceremonial and urban construction, yet left no trace beyond the stone itself. Even the modern act of measuring or replicating a single head underscores the mystery. Computer simulations can approximate the forces needed to lift and shape the stones, yet they fail to capture the efficiency implied by the Olmec's original work. Attempts to reproduce the techniques experimentally demonstrate that survival of the original form requires subtle skills in tool selection, angle of force application, and patience honed through practice rather than instruction. Every face carved into basalt embodies knowledge that remains unattainable in its original form, a synthesis of empirical science and artisanal mastery that vanishes once the stone is set. The Olmec heads endure as monuments not only to human artistry, but to technical sophistication that remains irreproducible. They are reminders that ancient hands could achieve what modern machinery cannot duplicate, that observation, ingenuity, and careful labor created results that defy contemporary explanation. Some knowledge is buried deeper than stone, waiting for discovery in silence. Derinkuyu, the underground city that breathed. Descending into the narrow entrance, the air grows cooler and the light diminishes until the stone walls seem to close in from all sides. The tunnels twist unpredictably, their ceilings low in some areas and expansively vaulted in others, forcing a careful pace. Every corner reveals evidence of deliberate shaping, smooth surfaces interrupted only by functional niches or channels carved into the rock. It is immediately apparent that this is not a natural formation, but a deliberate architectural feat, a city designed to function entirely beneath the Earth's surface, where movement, structure, and atmosphere had to be meticulously controlled. Breath moves through the chambers as if the city itself were alive. Vertical shafts rise from floor to ceiling, extending dozens of meters to the surface above, and yet air circulates with surprising ease. Archaeologists and engineers marvel at the system, noting that each shaft was precisely positioned to draw stale air from the lowest levels and channel fresh air throughout the labyrinth. Modern simulations confirm that without this network, the depths would have become suffocating within hours. The Olmec heads may have challenged transport, but Derinkuyu challenges the very understanding of environmental engineering in a subterranean setting. Observations reveal that some shafts widen and taper at precise intervals, creating a venturi effect that amplifies airflow to the deepest level. Layers of habitation unfold as one descends further, each level carved with intention and careful planning. Floors are separated by narrow stairs and sloped corridors, and some chambers are reinforced with arches to support the weight above. The complexity suggests a hierarchy of space, with storage and animal enclosures nearer the surface and living quarters, communal areas, and sacred spaces deeper below. Each level is interconnected, yet distinct, demonstrating a spatial intelligence that coordinates circulation, access, and structural integrity across more than a dozen stories. Water flows where it is needed, captured from underground springs and funneled into cisterns and wells that punctuate the subterranean city. Channels carved into the stone direct excess away from living spaces, preventing stagnation and erosion. Every drop is accounted for, an engineering solution that allowed thousands to survive for extended periods underground without relying on the surface. Such precision reflects not only knowledge of hydraulics but also practical foresight, as the builders anticipated both human needs and natural forces that might threaten habitation. Passages narrow at key points, while massive rolling stones stand ready to seal access. Defensive planning is evident in every choke point, each hallway carefully positioned to control movement and protect inhabitants. Observation niches and escape routes are hidden in plain sight, blending seamlessly into the rock. These features imply a sophisticated understanding of strategic engineering, an ability to combine protection, access, and concealment in a single integrated design. Modern planners might reproduce the effect with electronics and reinforced concrete, yet the ancient builders achieved it entirely through carving and empirical calculation. Rooms open into broader chambers that accommodate communal life. Storage niches, sleeping areas, and cooking spaces demonstrate careful attention to the daily necessities of a large population. The integration of infrastructure, airflow, water, drainage, and access reflects coordination on a scale rarely seen in ancient construction. Each chamber is a microcosm of planning and execution, illustrating an understanding of human behavior, spatial efficiency, and structural balance that continues to challenge contemporary engineers attempting replication. Carving these vast spaces from solid rock required not only labor, but also knowledge of stone properties, force distribution, and the sequence of excavation to avoid collapse. Evidence of smoothing and tool marks hints at techniques that have been lost to time. Despite a detailed study, no definitive explanation exists for how the Olmec, or in this case, the Cappadocian builders, achieved such consistency and precision. Modern attempts to replicate subterranean chambers at comparable depth and scale struggle to match the speed, safety, and accuracy of the original work. Even after centuries of study, excavations, and simulation, Derinkuyu resists full comprehension. Its chambers, shafts, and passages testify to a society that engineered solutions for airflow, defense, water management, and communal living in ways that remain beyond modern expertise. The underground city is not merely a relic, it is a technological testament, a blueprint of intelligence lost to time. The hidden metropolis exhales through its stone lungs, yet its deepest mysteries linger in darkness. The Ark of the Covenant, the power that could not be contained. Resting at the heart of the sanctuary, the Ark dominated the space with a presence that was at once awe-inspiring and meticulous. Its proportions were precise, rectangular, and compact, yet every surface gleamed with an almost surgical level of polish. Observers noted that the gilded exterior, covering a dense wooden core, reflected light in a way that emphasized straight lines, sharp edges, and absolute symmetry. The combination of materials, rare woods, gold, and possibly metals lost to history, created a structure that was as much an engineering achievement as it was a ceremonial object. The very act of constructing such a vessel required knowledge of joinery, material strength, and surface finishing that continues to challenge modern replication. Constructed with careful attention to internal cohesion, the ark's walls were thick, yet lightweight enough to be carried, while corners were joined with precision that avoided the weaknesses of traditional timber framing. The overlay of gold served not merely aesthetic purposes, but also reinforced the structure, preventing warping and protecting against decay. Ancient craftsmen had achieved a balance of rigidity and resilience, a combination that modern engineering struggles to duplicate without advanced adhesives or specialized alloys. Every measurement, every corner implies experimentation and refinement, a hands-on understanding of material properties that existed long before formalized science. Handles projected from the sides, attached through the walls, rather than inserted superficially, suggesting they were engineered to bear the full weight of the chest when carried by multiple individuals. The lid, known as the mercy seat, fit with flawless tolerance, leaving no gap and enabling it to withstand shocks or vibrations during transport. Such precision implies careful calculation of weight distribution, friction, and balance, knowledge that must have been empirically derived. The very design hints at an awareness of structural mechanics rarely associated with this period, suggesting a technology both subtle and potent in its application. Observers described effects that accompanied proximity to the arc, including sudden drops of temperature, electrical discharges, or unexpected light reflections. While historical accounts are often framed in religious terms, a technological reading considers these phenomena as potential consequences of the materials and construction methods used. Dense metallic layers, precise gilding, and tight joinery may have interacted with environmental energy in ways modern scientists cannot fully explain. The arc was a controlled system, engineered to manage forces unknown to contemporary observers, yet its effects on the human body and surrounding space remain speculative. Energy seems to have been harnessed in ways that remain hypothetical. Some researchers propose that the combination of metals, geometric alignment, and internal empty cavities could create electromagnetic or acoustic resonance under certain conditions. The chest may have been designed as a conductor or amplifier of subtle forces, a technological artifact that blends materials science, physics, and craftsmanship into a single coherent object. While impossible to test fully without the original arc, its construction suggests an understanding of principles that surpasses what is documented in any surviving engineering manual from the era. Carried by multiple individuals, the arc required careful coordination and balance, implying standardized protocols and repeated practice. Its portability was as critical as its stability, indicating foresight in anticipating both transport and the stresses of movement. The handles and rigid structure ensured minimal flex, while the overall weight distribution allowed teams to move it efficiently across uneven terrain. Modern replicas struggle to reproduce this combination of durability, weight, and structural integrity, highlighting how the original design integrated multiple engineering challenges into a single artifact. Evidence suggests that the arc's construction was part of a broader technological culture capable of combining materials, force management, and precision craftsmanship. Traces of measurement, alignment, and structural logic appear consistently, reflecting deliberate planning rather than accidental perfection. This level of sophistication invites comparison with other ancient engineering feats, suggesting that the knowledge to manipulate materials with subtlety and control was preserved, applied, and then largely lost. The arc stands as a singular testament to technical mastery that cannot be fully understood today. The arc's ingenuity endures beyond reach, revealed only in fragments through centuries of study and reconstruction. The combination of materials, the precision of joinery, and the possible effects of its design remain beyond replication. Scholars can hypothesize, but the full extent of its technological sophistication is sealed in the object itself, a challenge that resists both time and human curiosity. Its power was measured not in legend, but in precision, and some knowledge vanished the moment the gold gleamed in shadow. The Saqqara bird, the model that should have flown. At the corner of a small tomb, within a simple niche, the Saqqara bird sits unassumingly, yet its meticulously crafted form invites close examination. Unlike the crude figurines often found in burial sites, this object displays contours and proportions that seem engineered rather than decorative. Its compact size conceals a sophistication that suggests purpose beyond mere ornamentation. Every line, curve, and angle appears intentional, as if the maker understood forces that modern science can measure but cannot easily replicate. Its wings extend gracefully from the body, tapered at the edges with subtle curves that hint at aerodynamic reasoning. The tail is carved with attention to stability, and the fuselage demonstrates streamlined shaping, balanced along both horizontal and vertical axes. The wood is carefully smoothed, preserving weight while maintaining rigidity, and there are no signs of warping despite centuries of burial. The precision suggests repeated experimentation, iterative refinement, and knowledge of material behavior that modern craftsmen struggle to reproduce using comparable tools. Proportions measured along the length of the wings and the body reveal remarkable symmetry. The center of mass is nearly perfect, allowing theoretical balance in free flight. Weight is distributed evenly along the fuselage and tail, while the wings' span and curvature suggest an understanding of lift and drag forces. Such calibration would be critical for any attempt at gliding, yet no known evidence exists that ancient Egyptians had formalized aerodynamics. The artifact itself stands as a testament to empirical mastery, a small-scale experiment in mechanical principles achieved long before they were scientifically codified. Air currents that would flow over this model in motion seem accounted for in its design. Calculations of lift potential, performed by modern engineers using replicas, indicate that the bird could glide under specific conditions. The angles of the wings, the curvature of the tail, and the weight of the body combine to form a rudimentary but functional aerodynamic profile. It is not powered flight, yet the design implies intentional experimentation with flight mechanics, demonstrating insight into forces only fully understood millennia later. Wood selected for the bird exhibits careful choice, combining density for structural integrity with lightness for mobility. Edges are carved with smooth transitions, joints are fitted tightly, and surfaces are polished to minimize friction and air turbulence. The craftsmanship indicates a sophisticated understanding of materials science, balancing form, function, and resilience. Every millimeter of the artifact reflects a combination of technical skill and empirical observation that remains difficult to explain through conventional assumptions about the era. Experiments demonstrate partial replication of gliding behavior, yet even precise modern copies fail to achieve the same stability and subtle efficiency implied by the original. Simulations reveal that tiny adjustments in angle, weight, or curvature drastically alter performance, suggesting that the original makers had mastered a level of precision that modern tools can approximate but never fully duplicate. The artifact challenges assumptions about what small-scale experimentation and technological understanding could achieve in ancient times. Micro-adjustments along the wing edges and tail angles suggest that the makers understood subtle effects of airflow and weight distribution. Tiny notches and beveled cuts may have been intentional, allowing for fine-tuning of balance and glide. Such precision implies repeated trial, observation, and refinement, as if the artifact were a prototype rather than a static model, demonstrating a level of experimental engineering sophistication far ahead of its time. Artifacts suggest that the Saqqara bird was not an isolated experiment. Other models, artistic conventions, and engineering practices hint at a broader culture of innovation, where observation, measurement, and applied problem-solving were embedded in craftsmanship. Engineering of the era was more advanced than often credited, and mastery evident in this small object implies a network of knowledge lost to history. Its design is both simple in form and profound in implication, bridging the gap between ancient curiosity and modern technological comprehension. After careful study, including measurement, modeling, and flight tests, the bird remains a mystery. Its precise proportions, potential for gliding, and material efficiency leave questions unanswered. The artifact is a testament to experimental engineering, a relic that condenses empirical knowledge, careful observation, and mechanical skill into a single compact object. The wind it once intended to ride has long vanished, leaving only the question of how such insight was ever achieved. The Nazca lines, the designs only the sky could see. Stretching across the desert, the lines appear deceptively simple from the ground, mere scratches on the ochre surface of Peru's arid plateau. Yet, even at this distance, the scale is intimidating. Some geoglyphs extend hundreds of meters, their forms precise enough to be recognized only from the air. The desert wind shifts sand across their edges, but the main shapes endure, hinting at an original execution carried out with extraordinary foresight and meticulous planning. Each line and figure seems to assert that the creators understood geometry, scale, and spatial coordination far beyond what the naked eye can immediately discern. Figures etched into the sand depict animals, geometric forms, and abstract designs, each drawn with consistent proportions and clean edges. Some resemble birds in flight, monkeys, or fish, while others form intricate spirals and trapezoids. The sheer regularity of these shapes across uneven terrain suggests a methodical approach. Their execution required knowledge of proportional scaling, transferring a small model into an immense geoglyph without error over distances of hundreds of meters. The precision implies more than artistic intention. It suggests technological planning and an understanding of how to coordinate measurements on a monumental scale. Precision demanded that observation, marking, and calculation be executed with meticulous care. Stakes, ropes, and grids may have been employed to maintain straight lines and angles, though no direct evidence survives. The designers must have been able to translate a conceptual design into the desert floor with accuracy that continues to challenge modern engineers. Scaling applied across irregular terrain would require iterative verification, a system of proportional reference points, and an awareness of the landscape's natural distortions. The geometrical perfection of some trapezoids and lines hints at surveying skills that are startlingly advanced for the period. Survey markers etched into the soil may have allowed repeated verification of angles and distances, hinting at a system of checkpoints to maintain geometrical accuracy across kilometers. Surface cleared of stones and debris forms the basis for each geoglyph, exposing the lighter subsoil beneath. Trenches dug along lines vary in width, but maintain consistent depth, suggesting a controlled technique to ensure longevity. Stones displaced in the process were likely repositioned to preserve contours, a method that minimizes erosion while maintaining visual clarity. Such techniques point to an understanding of material behavior, environmental conditions, and the durability required for the designs to survive centuries of wind and sunday. Subtle gradients were intentionally accounted for, adjusting line width and depth to preserve visual uniformity when viewed from elevated vantage points. Straightness, maintained across vast stretches, is remarkable. Distances consistent over hundreds of meters and angles exact to within a degree indicate careful oversight and repeated measurement. Observers have noted that some lines traverse slopes, ridges, and plains without deviation, demonstrating spatial intelligence and a precise mental map of the desert. Such exactitude is not accidental. It is the result of deliberate engineering, a mastery of geometry applied on a landscape scale. Teams organized across the plateau must have coordinated labor to execute these designs. Workers needed to follow instructions precisely, synchronize effort across distances, and adhere to a shared understanding of scale and form. Effort synchronized over such an expanse without aerial guidance implies a command structure, measurement tools, and planning methods that allowed humans to act as instruments of a larger geometrical vision. The creation of the Nazca lines required not only technical knowledge, but also the organization of collective human precision. Communication techniques, possibly involving visual signals or encoded instructions, would have been essential to synchronize work across vast distances and maintain precision. Attempts demonstrate how difficult replication is with modern tools. Even using ropes, stakes, and surveying equipment, contemporary teams struggle to recreate lines of comparable scale, uniformity, and alignment. Simulations reveal that small miscalculations accumulate over long distances, distorting the overall shape. The endurance of the original geoglyphs through centuries of wind, rain, and shifting sands underscores the technical mastery achieved by the ancient designers, whose methods remain elusive despite extensive study. Though examined for generations, the Nazca lines still defy definitive comprehension. they remain a testament to a society capable of translating vision into massive, precise, and enduring works, merging human coordination, geometry, and environmental understanding in ways that continue to challenge contemporary engineering. The desert guards its secrets with the same permanence that the lines themselves have maintained. No one can tell how human hands once turned barren sand into a canvas visible only from above, leaving questions that span the horizon. Stonehenge, the calendar carved in stone. Encircled by shadows, the massive stones rise from the Wiltshire plain with a quiet authority, their presence commanding attention long before their purpose is understood. Each block, upright and deliberate, conveys both scale and intention. The arrangement is neither random nor purely aesthetic. The monument embodies a precision that hints at knowledge of time, celestial movement, and engineering practices that remain difficult to fully explain. Visitors walking among the stones sense the alignment, the careful spacing, and the silent dialogue between structure and sky. Quarried from distant hills, the sarsen and bluestones required transport across uneven terrain without the benefit of modern machinery. Massive stones, some weighing over 20 tons, were selected for their durability and shape, and moved with techniques that continue to puzzle archaeologists. Evidence suggests that teams may have used wooden rollers, sledges, and carefully lubricated tracks to maneuver the stones, combining ingenuity and trial and error methods that modern engineers can only partially reconstruct. The logistical feat alone, extracting, moving, and positioning these stones, speaks to a mastery of planning and collective effort that challenges conventional assumptions about Neolithic capability. Each upright block rests in a precisely measured position, gaps calculated to millimeter accuracy, and lintels interlocked through mortise and tenon joints. Blocks interlocked with remarkable care, forming stable trilithons that have endured thousands of years. The uniformity of spacing, the symmetry of circles, and the consistent height of the stones reveal an attention to detail that suggests methods of measurement and alignment that have been lost to history. Sunlight strikes at exact angles during solstices and equinoxes, illuminating passages and casting shadows that track seasonal change. Angles trace predictable paths across the standing stones, indicating a deliberate astronomical alignment that would have functioned as a calendar of both solar and lunar cycles. Equinox shadows fall with uncanny precision, demonstrating observation, calculation, and empirical testing that predates written records of such knowledge. Subtle refinements to stone height and placement appear designed to correct for the slope of the land, ensuring that the sunlight and shadow patterns remain consistent across seasons. Timbers leveraged, earthen ramps, and levers shifted each block into position, a combination of simple tools and ingenious techniques. Builders may have used ramps of sand or soil to gradually raise stones, applying measured force to guide them upright. Platforms and counterweights would have allowed for careful adjustment, ensuring the stones' stability while achieving alignment that remained true to the horizon. Alignment tools, possibly simple sighting poles or chord grids, may have allowed builders to maintain straight lines and perfect circles despite uneven terrain. Evidence of post holes and carefully positioned markers suggests repeated measurement and verification, indicating a methodical approach to translating geometric design into reality. The integration of geometry, leverage, and spatial awareness points to a level of engineering planning that continues to defy complete modern understanding. Mass-balanced and foundations pressed deep, the monument's long-term stability is remarkable. Weight distributed across mortise and tenon joints, along with carefully prepared stone sockets, allowed the structure to withstand centuries of wind, frost, and shifting soil. Geological insight may have guided the selection of foundations, with softer soil avoided and natural bedrock leveraged to maintain stability over millennia. The builders achieved equilibrium between immense mass and fragile balance, creating a structure that endures without mortar or modern reinforcement. Workers marshaled across the site, effort coordinated with precision, moving stones in sequence and maintaining the integrity of the overall plan. Coordination extended beyond the immediate circle, suggesting planning over weeks or months and a knowledge of sequencing and load distribution that ensured safety and precision. Every participant contributed to a system of collective engineering, ensuring that the monument retained both its form and function. Resource management would have been critical, from sourcing timber for sledges and levers to organizing food and water for laborers over months of construction. Seasonal timing may have been factored in to exploit dry ground for easier transport and stable footing. The coordination of materials, labor, and environmental conditions suggests a comprehensive understanding of project management that rivals modern engineering logistics. Still, the full methods remain unknown. Across millennia, attempts to replicate Stonehenge have revealed the challenge of moving and positioning massive stones with such alignment and stability. Through centuries, researchers continue to uncover hints of lost knowledge embedded in the geometry, orientation, and mechanical sophistication of this enduring monument. How humans first shaped raw rock into a precise instrument of time remains unexplained, leaving a design that speaks silently of ingenuity and the mysteries of the sky. The Roman dodecahedron, the object no one can explain. In hand, the small bronze object feels heavier than its size, suggests a dense puzzle of 12 pentagonal faces and circular holes of varying diameters. Fingers trace its edges, discovering uniformity and symmetry that immediately hint at deliberate design. Despite its modest dimensions, the dodecahedron exudes an aura of purpose and precision. Each facet and aperture seems meticulously measured, a testament to skill that surpasses casual craftsmanship. Its true function, however, remains an enigma that has confounded archaeologists for centuries. Metal chosen for these objects was typically bronze, alloyed with a balance that ensured durability and malleability during casting. Holes drilled into each face are consistent and perfectly centered, suggesting the use of advanced measurement tools or templates. Edges polished and smoothed with care indicate a level of attention to detail rare for objects of this size and period. Casting techniques may have involved multi-stage molds or controlled heating methods to ensure uniform thickness, demonstrating a level of metallurgical knowledge that modern scholars can only partially reconstruct. The technical mastery evident in the dodecahedron reflects Roman knowledge that has been partially lost, leaving modern researchers to wonder how such precision was achieved. Faces align flawlessly, creating a geometric harmony that seems almost impossible to realize without advanced planning. Angles precise to fractions of a degree form a true dodecahedron, each pentagonal face matching its opposite with unerring accuracy. Symmetry dominates, as if the creators understood spatial mathematics and three-dimensional geometry intuitively. Hidden calibrations inside the holes or subtle differences in diameters could imply the object functioned as a modular measuring device, though the exact system remains unknown. The result is an object that embodies both mathematical sophistication and aesthetic elegance, challenging assumptions about the limits of Roman engineering. Found across regions from Gaul to Pannonia, these objects appear in widely separated contexts, often without accompanying inscriptions or records. Archaeologists note that they are frequently discovered in domestic, ceremonial, and burial sites, raising questions about their intended audience and use. Locations vary dramatically, yet each dodecahedron maintains the same geometric perfection, suggesting a standardized design transmitted across space and time. Cultural threads connecting distant Roman provinces suggest the dodecahedron was part of a shared technological tradition, hinting at standardized knowledge transmitted across vast regions. Their distribution hints at a broader cultural or technological significance now lost to history. Proposed uses include measurement devices, surveying tools, or instruments for determining optimal planting times in agriculture. Researchers speculate they may have functioned as candle holders, dice, or ceremonial artifacts, though no single theory satisfies all evidence. Theories persist, each plausible yet incomplete, reflecting the intersection of ingenuity, utility, and mystery. Functional testing by modern researchers reveals partial alignment with astronomical cycles and agricultural measurements, suggesting the object may have had practical applications beyond what its size indicates. No contemporary Roman text explains, leaving the object's purpose suspended in speculation. Modern experiments reveal the difficulty of recreating the dodecahedron with equivalent precision. Replication highlights the complexity of casting uniform holes and maintaining exact angles on all faces. Measurements confirm that even minor deviations in placement or symmetry compromise the object's geometric integrity. Engineering marvel, its combination of symmetry, consistency, and portability has never been matched by contemporary experiments using only tools available to the Romans. Scholars attempting to reproduce these objects confront challenges that suggest the original creators possessed techniques and understanding that remain elusive, defying straightforward reconstruction. Romans engineered countless innovations in roads, aqueducts, and machinery, yet the dodecahedron stands apart as a puzzle without a clear function. Craftsmen mastered bronze working, spatial reasoning, and pattern replication, evident in the object's flawless form. Technical skill shines in every face and perforation, demonstrating a level of miniature engineering precision that modern tools struggle to match. Its small size contrasts sharply with the ambition and expertise required to produce it, emphasizing the sophistication of its creators. Unanswered questions about their origin and purpose remain, sparking debates that span disciplines and generations. Across centuries, these small bronze enigmas continue to challenge historians, engineers, and archaeologists alike. Their precise geometry and mysterious function inspire modern study and speculation, bridging past ingenuity with present curiosity. Knowledge lost to time leaves a lingering fascination, the dodecahedron silently demanding comprehension while withholding its secrets. Why the Romans produced such exacting objects eludes explanation, their purpose lingering in the space between skill and mystery. Sacsayhuaman, the fortress that fits like flesh. Impossible to fathom, the fortress sprawls across the hilltop, its massive terraces and walls twisting with an almost organic logic. Stones rise like interwoven fingers, each irregular yet fitting seamlessly against its neighbor. From a distance, the complex appears chaotic, yet close inspection reveals lines and angles so precise that modern engineers struggle to comprehend their assembly. The sheer scale alone challenges belief, and the techniques behind their placement remain elusive. Visitors report a sensation of cohesion, as if the stones themselves guide the eye along invisible lines only the builders understood. Towering over 6 meters and weighing hundreds of tons, the stones dominate the terraces, magnifying the site's mystery. Mass, calculated by modern archaeologists, confirms the extraordinary feat of transportation, yet no definitive evidence exists of how the Inca achieved it. Weight estimated through both volume and density suggests forces far beyond what manual labor alone could manage without sophisticated tools or mechanical advantage. Some blocks show subtle curvature, requiring a level of shaping that implies advanced knowledge of angles and pressure distribution. The magnitude of the stones raises questions that science has yet to answer. Extracted from quarries far from the site, stones were pre-shaped to reduce weight and simplify their assembly. Marks on some blocks suggest advanced knowledge of splitting and levering techniques, possibly involving wooden wedges and controlled hydration to fracture the rock. The selection process itself indicates an understanding of durability and density, ensuring each stone could withstand both its own weight and centuries of environmental stress. Gaps vanish between surfaces that seem impossibly irregular. Each face aligns so precisely with its neighbors that even a blade cannot slip between them. Surfaces interlock in patterns that suggest not just skill, but understanding of forces and stresses far beyond simple construction. Tiny wedges of stone and natural shaping create tension points that lock the walls together, allowing them to endure both weight and seismic tremors. The precision of the joints, without mortar, creates a resilience that has preserved the fortress for centuries, defying both time and natural disasters. Transporting and positioning these enormous stones defies straightforward explanation, even for engineers today. Movement remains a mystery as the fortress spans steep inclines, uneven ground, and rocky outcrops. Methods unclear include ramps, ropes, and coordinated labor, yet none fully explain the accuracy of placement. Evidence of footholds and carved grooves in the surrounding rock hints at ingenious but still incompletely understood techniques. Every theory encounters limitations, leaving the process of assembly suspended between ingenuity and impossibility. Enduring centuries of earthquakes, wind, and rain, the fortress remains largely intact. Pressure absorbed through interlocking stones and terrace design ensures stability, while foundations adapt to subtle shifts in the soil. Structural calculations suggest that the walls could withstand shocks far beyond what would collapse modern constructions. The terraces themselves act as buffers, redistributing weight and preventing catastrophic failure, revealing a level of engineering that seems decades ahead of its time. The Inca orchestrated labor with precision and coordination that modern observers struggle to imagine. Ceremonial platforms, defensive walls, and urban planning blend seamlessly, indicating that architectural brilliance and societal order were intertwined. Material selection, placement order, and design symmetry all hint at a culture capable of planning and executing projects on unprecedented scales. The fortress is both a functional stronghold and a symbolic demonstration of Inca mastery over landscape, labor, and technology. The arrangement of the stones may have held symbolic significance, with certain angles and orientations aligning with nearby rivers, ridges, or ceremonial pathways. Some terraces appear designed to mirror natural contours, creating a visual harmony between construction and landscape. Scholars suggest that the fortress was as much a manifestation of cosmological or spiritual order as a military stronghold, implying that the Inca merged engineering precision with ritual and symbolic intention. The limits of contemporary knowledge become apparent through the measurements conducted by engineers and archaeologists. Modern attempts to move stones of comparable size with ancient techniques fall short, while reconstructions demonstrate that minor deviations in placement compromise the structural integrity. Researchers continue to study the fortress, mapping angles, stress points, and potential tool marks, yet each revelation raises more questions than it answers. The ingenuity of the original builders remains partly hidden in the shadows of lost knowledge. In silence, Sacsayhuaman stands as a monument not just to Inca skill, but to the mysteries of engineering humanity has yet to replicate. Its stones, impossibly fitted and impossibly placed, provoke awe and disbelief, and its secrets linger in every joint, every terrace, and every massive wall. No modern engineer can explain how human hands achieved such impossible precision, leaving the fortress suspended between reality and legend. The Nebra sky disk, the bronze map of heaven, the mind that conceived it reaches across millennia, a silent testament to Bronze Age intellect, capturing in bronze and gold a vision of the heavens that modern science struggles to fully comprehend. Thought etched onto a simple circular disk encodes patterns that suggest an understanding of celestial mechanics far beyond the technological tools of its era. Each inlay, each carefully positioned symbol, hints at an awareness of cycles, eclipses, and lunar alignments that would not be systematically calculated for centuries. The disk is both artifact and diagram, an early attempt to render the cosmos tangible to human hands. Patterns depict the paths of the sun and moon, stars and clusters arranged with deliberate precision that defies casual observation. Symbols align in ways that correspond to seasonal changes, solstices, and astronomical phenomena invisible to the untrained eye, suggesting a symbolic code intended for those with knowledge of the skies. Celestial code merges practical function with artistic expression, implying that Bronze Age observers were capable of synthesizing vast observational data into a coherent, portable cosmological map. Even its smallest markings may indicate phenomena as complex as lunar eclipses, solstice cycles, or the rising and setting of notable constellations. Crafted with a careful balance of metallurgy and measurement, the disk demonstrates technological sophistication that challenges modern expectations. Design reflects not only aesthetic choice, but a precise understanding of spatial relationships, angles, and proportions. Techniques suggest methods for transferring observations into gold inlays, perhaps using rudimentary tools with extraordinary control and consistency. The work requires foresight, calculation, and steady hands, implying that those who produced it possessed a level of cognitive skill and craftsmanship rarely attributed to prehistoric societies. Bronze Age societies may have used the disk to harmonize ritual with reality, blending astronomical observation with cultural and ceremonial imperatives. Ceremonial cycles and ritual calendars could have been synchronized with the visual information encoded on the disk, guiding agriculture, religious festivals, or navigation. Ritual calendars and observational knowledge seem inseparable from the object itself, reflecting a worldview in which cosmic order dictated social and spiritual order. The disk is not merely a map of stars, but a bridge between human activity and the heavens, a tool that unites observation with meaning. Traces of use on the disk suggest it may have been handled during specific seasonal rituals or astronomical observations, worn subtly at points where fingers or tools repeatedly touched the bronze. Microscopic scratches and variations in the gold inlays imply deliberate interaction rather than passive display, indicating the disk was an active instrument rather than merely decorative. Its portability hints that it could have been carried to vantage points where the horizon aligned with celestial events, enabling direct comparison between the map and the night sky. Angles calculated and orbits understood suggest that Bronze Age astronomers possessed a mental model of celestial motion approaching modern sophistication. Cycles anticipated include the recurring patterns of sun, moon, and stars, yet the exact methods used to record and predict these cycles remain elusive. The spatial and temporal precision encoded on the disk exceeds what one might expect from an artifact of its era, implying that astronomical observation and mathematical reasoning were intertwined in ways only partially recoverable through modern study. Analysis reveals that even with modern technology, fully replicating the disk's accuracy and intent is nearly impossible. Simulations demonstrate alignments that account for precession, lunar phases, and solar cycles, yet no complete formula explains how Bronze Age observers achieved such precision without written mathematics. Metallurgists explore the alloy composition, the thickness of the bronze, and the adhesion of gold inlays, uncovering layers of technique that suggest knowledge lost to time. Every attempt to reverse engineer its creation illuminates skill while deepening the mystery of its origins. Questions endure, and its meaning eludes contemporary scholarship, leaving the disk suspended between human ingenuity and lost knowledge. Secrets linger within the delicate engravings, the arcs of gold, and the meticulous proportions, suggesting a civilization capable of grasping cosmic patterns, yet leaving no comprehensive record of the principles guiding them. The Nebra sky disk remains a silent enigma, a technological and conceptual puzzle that continues to challenge the boundaries of what we believe prehistoric humans could know and achieve. And long after the stars it depicts have shifted in the night sky, the disk persists as a testament to a civilization whose vision of the heavens is still beyond our comprehension, whispering of knowledge that may have been lost forever. The Chinese seismoscope, the dragon that felt the earth move. In the 2nd century, the Han dynasty witnessed an extraordinary fusion of observation, engineering, and foresight, giving rise to a device that could sense the trembling of the earth far beyond the reach of human perception. Designed in 132 CE by the polymath Zhang Heng, the seismoscope was more than a scientific curiosity. It was a monumental attempt to harness knowledge of the natural world for the safety and governance of the empire. Emperors and scholars alike marveled at its ability to register distant earthquakes, offering early warnings that might spare cities from sudden devastation. Its existence implies a culture capable of abstract reasoning, mechanical ingenuity, and precise measurement centuries ahead of modern seismology. Bronze dragons encircle a large vessel, their mouths agape, each aligned with a toad waiting below to receive a small bronze ball. Within the vessel, a complex internal mechanism translates tremors in the ground into motion, causing the balls to drop in a way that indicates the direction of a distant quake. Metal components, carefully balanced and aligned, suggest knowledge of leverage, gravity, and transfer of motion, yet the exact configuration of the internal mechanism remains unknown. The combination of artistry and function blurs the line between scientific instrument and ceremonial object, making the seismoscope both a technical achievement and a symbol of authority. A tremor triggered reactions so subtle that even observers stationed far from the epicenter could discern the event's direction. Seismic waves traveling through soil and rock initiated motion within the device, transferring energy to the dragons and releasing the balls into the waiting toads. The sensitivity required to accomplish this is staggering, as even minimal ground vibrations were sufficient to set the mechanism in motion. That such precision was achieved with bronze and wood, without modern instrumentation, speaks to a level of understanding and craftsmanship that remains difficult to reconstruct fully. Techniques remain speculative, yet engineers and historians have proposed models involving inverted pendulums, pivots, and carefully tuned balances. Precision achieved by the original design astonishes contemporary scholars, as minor deviations in weight, angle, or friction would have rendered the device ineffective. The seismoscope embodies an intricate comprehension of cause and effect, translating the invisible movement of the Earth into a visible, directional signal. Each attempt to replicate its function illuminates both the ingenuity of the original and the fragility of human understanding in recreating it. Officials relied on its readings not merely for curiosity, but for action, mobilizing military units, dispatching aid, and safeguarding grain stores in anticipation of earthquakes. Warnings conveyed through its motion were integrated into governance, demonstrating a sophisticated interplay between technology, observation, and societal infrastructure. The device symbolized the reach of imperial knowledge, suggesting that the ability to predict or detect natural forces was intertwined with authority and cultural worldview, and that the cosmos and the Earth itself were subject to human observation and interpretation. Replicas of the seismoscope found across the empire suggest a networked approach to tracking seismic activity. Inscriptions and historical records imply that multiple devices may have been synchronized to confirm distant tremors, demonstrating a level of coordination that anticipates modern sensor networks. The placement of these instruments near administrative centers and temples points to their dual function: practical earthquake detection and reinforcement of imperial authority, signaling that the ability to sense nature's hidden movements was as much political as it was technological. Rebuilding the seismoscope today has revealed not only what it could achieve, but also where it falls short. Experiments reveal that minor adjustments in pivot points, bronze thickness, or ball weight drastically affect sensitivity and reliability. Analysts attempt to determine which ancient methods allowed such precision, yet the absence of written instructions for the mechanism leaves the exact process shrouded in mystery. Each replication highlights both the brilliance of Zhang Heng and the gaps in our understanding, emphasizing the gulf between ancient genius and modern reconstruction. Questions persist and its secrets endure, leaving the seismoscope suspended between an engineering triumph and a riddle of lost knowledge. Its elegance, precision, and purpose suggest a civilization capable of bridging observation with mechanical innovation. Yet the full comprehension of its design and operation remains tantalizingly beyond reach. Even centuries later, the device reminds us that human ingenuity has long sought to interpret forces invisible to the eye, and that some solutions, once known, may be lost forever. The dragon's ability to feel far-off tremors remains a mystery to modern engineers, positioning the instrument forever between the realms of history, science, and the unexplainable. The Longyu Caves, the underground precision we can't explain. Vast chambers stretch beneath the surface of eastern China, their ceilings disappearing into shadows, their walls carved with a uniformity that seems almost impossible for the tools and techniques of the time. Dark corridors wind between colossal halls, revealing a subterranean landscape that defies casual comprehension. Each room precise in its dimensions, each passage smooth and symmetrical. Upon entering, one is struck by the sheer audacity of the construction. A network of caverns covering thousands of square meters, yet without a trace of the machinery or documentation that might explain how such labor was accomplished. The scale alone suggests a civilization capable of planning, coordination, and execution on a level that challenges modern assumptions about ancient engineering. Walls stretch with unbroken smoothness, untouched by the unevenness typically left by hand tool. Floors lie perfectly level, reflecting a meticulous attention to measurement and balance that implies a systematic approach to underground architecture. Pillars rise from the stone as if carved to fit an invisible blueprint, their shapes consistent and symmetrical across the network, forming a lattice of support that demonstrates not only structural understanding, but also aesthetic intent. The precision is so exacting that even the most modern attempts to replicate the work struggle to achieve the same uniformity and alignment. Acoustic properties within the chambers suggest that sound may have played a role in their design or use, as echoes travel in a remarkably uniform manner across vast halls and corridors. Vibrations carry clearly from one end of a room to another, raising the possibility that the caves were not only visual marvels, but also structured for auditory effects, whether for ritual, communication, or measurement. This feature hints at an additional layer of sophistication, demonstrating that the creators considered not only the physical and geometric dimensions of space, but also its interaction with natural phenomena. Tools vanish into history, leaving no indication of how such immense quantities of stone were removed or shaped. Methods remain speculative, as the caves were hewn from sandstone with no surviving evidence of chisels, levers, or scaffolding that could account for the scale and accuracy. Laborers must have followed techniques now lost to time, perhaps employing coordinated teams, precise measurements, and unknown instruments to carve volumes of rock with such uniformity that the resulting halls appear almost otherworldly. Every wall and ceiling raises the question of human capability at a level that seems to exceed the historical record. Purpose eludes observers, as no definitive artifacts or inscriptions have been found within the caverns. Rituals may have taken place in the echoing halls, or perhaps the spaces were used for storage, shelter, or ceremonial gatherings, yet no evidence confirms any single theory. Storage or sanctuary seems plausible, yet the consistency and symmetry of the design suggest an intention beyond mere utility. The function of the caves remains as enigmatic as their creation, leaving room for speculation and awe in equal measure. By recording wall angles, pillar dimensions, and ceiling heights, engineers look for patterns that might reveal ancient construction techniques. Surveys reveal geometrical regularities and alignments that hint at advanced planning, while investigators analyze tool marks and excavation strategies to approximate how the spaces were carved. Each exploration uncovers more questions than answers, as the caves resist complete comprehension, offering only tantalizing glimpses of a technological and organizational sophistication that has vanished from human knowledge. Human capability is evident not only in the physical execution, but also in the conceptual mastery required to envision such spaces. Engineering mastery is suggested in the flawless proportions, the consistency of repetitive elements, and the structural integrity that has endured for centuries without reinforcement. Techniques lost to history may have included methods of measurement, teamwork, or leverage that remain impossible to fully reconstruct. The caves force a reconsideration of what prehistoric societies could accomplish when organization, ingenuity, and vision converged in ways modern researchers struggle to match. The subterranean expanse of the Longyou Caves resists explanation. Its origins, purpose, and techniques continue to elude scholars, hovering between the real and the imagined. The truth hides within the silent stone, in corridors untouched by time, awaiting comprehension that may never come, as if the earth itself preserves a knowledge too advanced for those who follow. Shrouded in earth and forgotten through time, the Longyou caves persist in whispering a meticulousness that humbles all observers. The Ajanta pigments, the colours that time forgot. Vibrant hues greet the eye upon entering the Ajanta caves, saturating walls and ceilings with reds, blues, and ochres that remain astonishingly luminous despite centuries of darkness and neglect. Light falls upon the murals, revealing details so intricate that individual brushstrokes seem to float above the stone surface, as though the artists had captured movement and emotion in pigment itself. Eyes trace the folds of robes, the delicate gestures of hands, and the subtle expressions of figures, all rendered with a richness and stability that defy natural decay, leaving visitors to wonder how colours could survive so flawlessly. Mineral powders, sourced from local quarries and distant regions, form the foundation of these pigments, each carefully ground and mixed with organic binders whose exact composition has eluded modern science. Pigments extracted from earth, minerals, and plants were combined in ratios that remain unknown, producing tones that neither fade nor flake over time. Some elements suggest knowledge of chemical interactions far beyond the standard practices of the period, hinting at experimentation, observation, and methods deliberately designed to preserve brilliance under the cave's humid conditions. Artisans blended colours with meticulous care, layering them to produce depth and subtle gradations that convey both form and light. Layers built upon each other adhere with a resilience unmatched by contemporary techniques, their cohesion suggesting mastery over adhesion, density, and pigment chemistry that modern restorers cannot replicate. Precision guided every application, from sweeping backgrounds to the most intricate details, implying an understanding not only of colour and texture, but also of long-term stability, as if the creators anticipated centuries of exposure without maintenance. Centuries have tested these pigments through monsoon humidity, fluctuating temperatures, and near-total darkness, yet decay could not touch the vibrancy, nor could time erase the clarity of line or form. Humidity and shadow, which would normally erode organic and mineral paints, seem to have been accounted for in some lost methodology, preserving the brilliance in ways that challenge modern chemical knowledge. The murals stand as a testament to techniques that vanished with the artisans, leaving no written records or formulas to explain their endurance. Modern analysis has revealed traces of unusual minerals and combinations that have yet to be fully understood, while laboratory tests attempt to recreate the luminous reds, deep blues, and golden ochres that have endured untouched. Researchers attempt to simulate the binders and layering methods, yet the precise methods for pigment preparation, mixing, and application remain elusive, as if the ancient formulas were intentionally hidden or lost over time. Each experiment highlights both the ingenuity of the original creators and the limitations of contemporary science when confronted with knowledge from a vanished age. Microscopic analysis of the pigments reveals tiny crystalline structures embedded within the paint, hinting at deliberate chemical stabilization that modern techniques struggle to replicate. These microstructures may have been responsible for the way light interacts with the surface, producing a subtle luminescence that seems to animate the murals under changing light. Such precision implies an advanced understanding of materials science, suggesting that the artisans not only mastered colour, but also engineered their work to endure and interact with perception in ways that modern science cannot fully explain. Spiritual narratives unfold across walls and ceilings, their stories enhanced by the richness of colour, guiding observers through cycles of life, death, and enlightenment with a visual language that complements the philosophical depth of the art. Ceremonial spaces come alive through the interplay of pigment and architecture, suggesting that colour itself was not merely decorative, but an active participant in ritual, invoking emotions, reinforcing doctrine, and conveying sacred symbolism. The murals convey a union of aesthetic beauty and technological expertise, where human artistry meets material science in perfect harmony. Time conceals the exact methods, leaving knowledge lost to the centuries, and the formulas remain hidden beneath layers of pigment that have outlasted even memory. Each wall, each hue, each subtle shade whispers of a science and art that was once understood but is now irretrievably gone, as if the colors themselves guard the secrets of their creation. The Ajanta pigments endure as fragments of forgotten genius, a palette suspended between history and mystery, illuminating not only sacred stories, but also the lost mastery of materials that modern science has yet to reclaim.